Hello, my beautiful co-creators. Welcome to the Manifestation Queen podcast, where reality bends to meet your frequency. This is where we embody our full brilliance, where daily miracles, perfect love, and inner harmony become a way of being. Here, we receive more by doing less, refine our perception, and adjust our crowns as needed. If this episode landed in your field, it's here because you're here on purpose. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and thumbs up button. And what if the level of success, abundance, and expansion was directly connected to the frequency that your body is able to hold? Today's guest has spent over 25 years helping 6 to 8 figure change makers optimize their body, their biz, and their biofield through frequency work, nervous system regulation, health optimization, and expansion calibration. Our special guest is a frequency and health tuner. She's a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, an expert in helping people increase their energetic and physical capacity so they can sustainably hold more success, wealth, visibility, and impact. In today's conversation, we're diving into cellular frequency, all things gut, the nervous system, hidden stress patterns in the body, energetic coherence, and why true manifestation is about becoming the version of yourself that can actually sustain what you're calling in. So today I am pleased to bring to you the incredible Jamie Trevathan, aka the Gut Goddess. Hello.
Hi, Destiny. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie, for being here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to dive into this conversation with you.
Me too.
Yay. How are you doing? How's everything?
Life is amazing. I am so good right now. So I'm so excited to talk to you about all the things.
Yay. So a little context. So Jamie and we met at our mentors 1,000-person event in Denver, Colorado. It was called Living Brave with Shoshana Raven. And it was this incredible event. I joined and jumped into a mentorship that I did not even know anything like this existed. Pretty hefty amount of money that I just didn't even know this existed. And I walked into this room like a month or two in. I didn't know anybody. And I already felt like this pulling towards Shoshana. And so I was like, I don't know who she is, but I felt this soul recognition when I saw her online, and I was like, oh, this is her. And so I was asking all my energetic colleagues that I work with and our energy work and stuff. And I was like, who told me about Shoshana Raven? And no one knew what I was talking about, but it was this immediate recognition. And I still to this day have asked all my friends, everybody that I've worked with, I was like, was it you that mentioned her name? Who mentioned her name to me? Because it was this immediate thing that I was like, oh yeah, that's her. But no one will admit that it was her. I don't know. So anyway, I'm in this 1,000-person event, and I see Jamie walk on stage, and she was holding our this biogeometry tool that we both did a training in. It's a pretty unique energy training, and she's holding this pendulum, this very unique pendulum, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I've never met anyone in person who even knew remotely what it was. And so I just was like, okay, this is such beautiful synchronicity. And I was so excited. I'm like, whoever she is, I have to talk to her, because I just never met anyone in person who, again, knew what it was. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And then, of course, I'm sitting right next to all her peeps, and I'm like, hey, Jamie. And I'm like, look at my tools. And I'm just showing her my tools. And she's like, what's going on? It was just crazy. So yay. And now I have her on my show, and I'm just so excited to have her here to share all of her incredible experience and wisdom and all the things. So yay. I hope I explained that well. But yeah, it was just such a fun moment, because again, I don't know, have you ever ran into anyone that just coincidentally trained in biogeometry?
No, when Dr. Kareem came to Gaia in Colorado, so I live in Denver,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to see him speak at Gaia, and there was a bunch, obviously, there was a lot of people there. That was the first time in person I've ever talked to anyone.
Yeah.
had done biogeometry. So that was a really fun moment for me too, to meet you, and that you were sitting next to another one of my mentors that was there. And so that was really special. And just that moment was special because I was tuning the entire, like the speakers and the entire crowd. And so that level of frequency tuning, that level of harmonization, to have somebody there that like actually understood what I was doing felt really special, because most people are like, what are you doing? Like, what? You're just walking around with this pendulum? I'm like, no, actually.
Actually. And again, I want to also say that I told you before too, like I've done I kind of consider myself living in a bubble. So I feel like I haven't done many huge like events like that, but like I did Abraham Hicks, and then I did another kind of meditation like in this forest in Homestead, Florida, which was really cool. But I do have to say that like these huge, like large groups, even though I harmonized myself in those moments, like I didn't harmonize the room at all, but I would have fevers when I got home, and I would feel like incredible migraines like during the meditations. And so for both of those other events that I went to, which were even smaller, they were like maybe 50 people. I mean, Abraham Hicks probably had, I don't know how many, probably close to 800 or so, maybe 1,000, I don't know. But both of those events, I did get like some kind of wonky symptoms from kind of the energy in the room. And so with Shoshana's event, I told Jamie she did an incredible job, because I did not feel that whatsoever. And I was kind of like anticipating it. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to kind of manifest this. And no, it was like this beautiful energy. It was super harmonized. It was so expansive, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful energy to witness. And I was so, so happy to be there, like on cloud nine the entire time. So shout out to Jamie and Shoshana and everybody who was in the room.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because that was the intention. Like, I was really wanting specifically to tune everybody in their personal energetic sovereignty, that they could receive information without depleting them and draining them. And then the speaker's message could get through with like a purity and a clarity that didn't feel oversaturating, you know?
Yeah, and they were all so good. It was so, so, so powerful. Like, again, I just rant and rave and talk about just the level of conversation and expansion that continues to unfold and expand in every moment. Like, I always say, like, how can this get better? And then it gets even better. It's like wild. So, yeah, that's the norm for us, I guess. And if it's not the norm for you, like, all of the listeners, like, this is just such an incredible space to like even invest in yourself. Like, I was in a really difficult situation too. Like, financially, I didn't know what was next. I was kind of like unsure of, what was unfolding for me. And it just like following that like inspired nudge, I was like, yeah. And it just kept going. And it was just so good to witness this and like normalize these conversations that we're having. And so that's really huge, huge part of what Jamie does. And she calibrates these 8-figure earners and catalyst trailblazers and beautiful people in their businesses and their personal life and all the areas and planes of dimension. And so I would love to hear, Jamie, like, what are you most excited about? Like, what has been really expansive for you in these last couple months? All the things that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, the frequency tuning for events and like what I did at Living Brave Live, that's actually been really fun for me. So I've been doing that and doing it more remote style, like helping people set up and really see from a quantum perspective what is the next, like I call it this quantum arc of there's, what's the vision, what's the entanglement, the tunnel, and the alignment, and then helping people do that in the voltage in their physical body to make sure that they have the minerals and the electricity and the electromagnetism to actually hold that vision and then entangle the reality here in the 3D with the 5D, and then like be in that tunnel of forward momentum. I think where it's like there is no other, you can't turn around, you can't look back, you just are going forward, and then you're in alignment, and then you do it all again.
Mhm.
Because once you get there, you're like, what's next?
Mhm.
But like helping people's physical bodies be in a state of receiving and calibrating, and then doing that, for events, for launches, just for being in this next frequency here on earth. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm excited about, is doing it, not just in person, but also from like a remote viewing standpoint, of being like really been working on being able to tap into somebody in source, like
Mhm.
that thread, and then calibrating that thread in source. So that's what's new, fun, fresh, and exciting over here.
Ooh, so would you say you were predominantly like in person before and now you're kind of like going over to more remote stuff? Or like what is the difference between the remote viewing and like your in-person stuff?
Yeah, I've always helped people. They didn't have, from a health perspective, it didn't have to be in person.
Mhm.
But for the energy work, it was usually always in person, because I also do tuning forks and all kinds of things.
Mhm.
But now I've been able to expand that into remote healing, remote viewing, remote calibration. So
Mhm.
I'd say the biggest difference is, I mean, I still need their energetic signature, which you know about, like
Mhm.
finding their personal wavelength and all of that. But the biggest difference is really, the only thing I can't do or can't not do in person is the tuning forks and the vibration of shifting. Like, it almost feels like I can give you like an energetic massage.
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
so I can do that remote, but like there is a difference in person. It is nice to just feel each other's energy and that kind of coherence back and forth. I think that it's not necessary, but it feels really good. It's almost like
Mhm.
I can get like an energetic exfoliation. So
I
yeah.
love that. I love that. Yeah, I feel like well just from like what I know from the training and stuff and like what we work with, it's I think I always kind of invite people into more of the remote stuff because it's like the with the remote viewing and the remote work, I feel like the energy and like the expansion, like all the things are even more limitless. And then also it's like that back end work, right? Like, would you consider it like back end? I don't know, like for someone who's like looking to work with you, like why would you recommend or why would you recommend doing more remote? You know what I mean? Like versus the in person. Would you say it's more limitless? Would you say you can get deeper? Like, because I feel like in the in person, would you say it's kind of like, okay, you can only have that hour session and then like the remote is more long term?
Yeah. I mean, I want to do it all.
Yeah.
I think, well, you need both,
Yeah.
but you don't, like the in person, like I said, it's more of something you can, I think the person can feel,
Mm-hmm.
just like feel a massage, like you feel it more, where physically, like the physical body, I think feels it, where remotely, it's, yes, it is more limitless because we're working in the quantum, and we're working, and it's going to ripple down to the physical.
Mm-hmm.
But that amount, I don't know if everybody, you have to be really, really calibrated and tuned to actually feel the work happening in the moment. Sometimes you'll feel it later. So like when I boost and amplify people, like let's say they're speaking on stage, the people that I've been working with, they can tell, like they are like, whoa, I feel your boost. Like I feel your energy signal coming through me and amplifying it. But for some people, I think they just feel more expanded. They feel more clear. They feel more able to express themselves and
Mm-hmm.
their energy touching the person, but they don't feel the actual signal,
Yeah.
So
Like it's
I
more
think it,
subtle if it's something newer, right? Like a little bit more of a subtle
Mhm.
adjustment versus, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I was just curious about that. Which is so exciting. And again, it's like everyone doing these big events really could benefit like tremendously for their clients, for themselves, for their speakers, for everyone included in this, in your beautiful work. So I just want to encourage anyone listening, like Jamie is your girl. And yeah, it's so exciting to like, cause just being on both sides, like I'm sure I'm not the only person who experiences those symptoms in these large energetic exchanges of these huge events. And so, yeah, Jamie's like changing the world, doing this like incredible, powerful work for everyone. So, yeah. And so let's see, what else can we do? I feel like the cellular stuff is so much fun. And I love the way that you're wording all of it. And also, I don't know, we could maybe talk about the witch wound a little bit. I know it's all over the place. I'm kind of going to a whole nother topic, but like, how does that play into our cellular, oh my gosh, help me out here. Epigenetics.
Yeah.
And like the witch wound, like, what does that mean? I feel like just being in your space, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a freaking witch wound. Like I didn't even know. And, and so I was like, no wonder why I get all choked up on my words all the time. You know, it's probably, who knows what happened to me in the past lives. And so we just, you know, as women and powerful healers, like we were trying to get silenced all the time, or were silenced, you know, in many lives. So I would love to hear your take on all of that.
Yeah, I love the witch wound. Well, I love it because I think it's really, as in any wound, is here to help us, you know, grow, and like how we can see the lessons as something that we need to stand up and utilize as a benefit, not a weight, you know. And the witch wound, from the way I look at it, from a mitochondrial and epigenetic, and I always say epic genetics, so that might be why you're tongue tied, because you're like, is it epic? Is it
Epic. Yeah.
epic? Because I call it, the way I work with it, I'm like, it's epic. It's epic genetics, you know. But that just means, you know, epi just is above the gene, above. So it's like, what can we alter above in the environment to shift the expression?
Mm,
And so, in a sense, reason I love epigenetics is because it's similar to like, you know, biogeometry, because you're shifting above the wavelength,
mm-hmm.
you know, like so it's kind of similar, but in different ways. So for the witch wound, we know in our mitochondria, in our DNA, that it's been encoded lots of generations of information, not just physical traits, but the lessons, you know, and the wisdom are encoded in there as well. And so I think they've now proven like up to 8 generations of information, but I really feel like it's way more than that, you know. So anyway, moving through that, we have this lessons and this wisdom, and it's encoded within us, and we need to use that as an advantage point. And I think it's waking up. So like you said, the witch wound is any time that we were suppressed, or not able to express ourselves, or in my mind really just use our unique essence and gifts.
Mm,
And so the witch aspect of is these healers, these shamans, these women, or there's probably men too, but any person who was trying to help people against the grain,
mm-hmm.
or you know, and that those lessons, that information, that wisdom is still encoded within us. And I think for women right now, there's a lot of the witch wound is waking up, and we are feeling, especially in America, with everything going on with our women's healthcare system, and you know, the files and all the things, like
Mm-hmm.
there is this element of, oh hell no, like we are not okay, like we never were okay, but like now I think this power has been reactivated, this wisdom has been reactivated within us, to have us be like, it's time. So a lot of women are really waking up to this unique set of gifts, skills, wisdom, lessons, and power, and wanting to express themselves, like go against the grain, wanting to stand up more than they ever have before. And so I'm seeing that ripple across a lot of different factors. But from a mitochondria standpoint, you know, the mitochondria are the energy powerhouse of every cell,
Mm,
and that every single cell has receptor sites that communicate to our consciousness, that communicate to the quantum. And so knowing that, it's like whatever is waking up, every action we can take now will just ripple that communication more and more. And like as a collective, as we all feel that, we can come together and really make change.
oh my gosh. Okay, so I have something tangible that I think we can kind of like maybe walk through in this sense, because okay, so for example, I like to like break it down in really tangible, simple, easy terms. So let's say, okay, because I just got rid of my nanny, right? So for 3 years I had her, and I felt like I had that support. I had like someone at my home that I could like run out and go do the things. And so for 3 years, I mean, I wasn't even doing laundry. Like, so I felt like the support system with her. And so I just had this conversation with a family friend yesterday, and then, but the first year of my experience through my birth, having my son for the first year, I didn't have that support. So I was juggling 2 kids on my own. I was cooking and like trying to feed my 6-year-old, also with the newborn, for a whole year, and it was like super, super stressful, I guess. And I just kind of had this like alone feeling, right? So when I got rid of my nanny, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I having like a form of like PTSD? But then I'm like walking myself through it, like, okay, no, they're older. This can be different. Like, this doesn't have to be the same reality as prior, right? So let's like refer that to the witch wound of like the DNA of how you're saying that we can kind of use this to our advantage, if this makes sense. And like how like something like that can be ingrained in our cellular, genetics, right? Because also, sometimes we can like say, oh, this is just our genes. This is just how we were born. Our genetics are this way, when really they're habits or their mental ailments that we're kind of like thinking about. And so could we maybe walk through like how that looks with what you were referring to the witch wound, and to like our cellular epigenetics and like all of that?
Yeah.
Are you following with me? Because I feel like I was like just having this conversation yesterday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a thing. Because I'm able to recognize it. I'm like walking myself through it. And then I'm like, imagine how many lifetimes the subtle things kind of happen where we're not even able to kind of pick them up, and we kind of operate from that. So I was able to kind of like, okay, Destiny, like we can clear this. This is going to be a different reality. So it's just something tangible that I think the audience might be able to use to their benefit.
Yeah. So in that example, I think, well, I'd like to piggyback on it with an example of how many times, especially as a mom, like how many times as a woman, and again, I believe this is for all genders, but I'm just using women as this example here.
Mm-hmm.
So you felt like you couldn't do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Like how am I going to get everything done? But then once you start doing it, then you can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're like, and then you look back and you're like, how did I do that? Like, for instance, like I went to school full time, I worked full time, and I had like a part time job on top of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Like, how did I do that? You know what I mean? Like, and constantly feeding information. And as a mom, probably the same thing. Like, how did I maybe go to school, be a mom, and work? Like, how did I take care of business? Like at that level. And I think that these are the encoded lessons of it's almost this empowerment that it comes online of when you have to take care of business and you have no other choice and you've got to do it. Most people step up.
Like when
Like,
that desire is big enough,
yeah.
it like comes through, like comes
Yeah.
forth.
Like
Yeah.
all of those lessons, I mean, and that's where epigenetics is, you change the environment. So by you doing that energetically, mentally, physically, but having like this feeling of there's no other option,
Mm-hmm.
I have to make it work. Most people end up, if you really just put yourself in that and like with that desire, you end up having the power and the source field to make it work. And then you look back and you're like, I don't know how I did that until it was done. And that's the kind of, I mean, this is oversimplifying it, but that's really the energy that we're tapping into, because there's layers and layers and layers across generations of, if you think about what we have to go through and what our ancestors had to go through, it's like we have it pretty easy.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? Like it's like this ripple effect. And I think it's also this inner, I don't call them nervous chakras or nervous system. I call it an alignment system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like every one of our energy centers has a intelligence and a wisdom that we're constantly drawing upon. And that intelligence has generations of lessons and energy and wisdom that's supporting us. I mean, if you think about it from a grand scale, like the whole reason we're here is because people survived. And
Right. Yeah,
And
and I
so
always think too, like our mitochondria, like we're not hunting for the food and like we're just like going to the grocery store. We're like not in, these survival tactics or like surviving in the wild or the things that our ancestors were going through. Like I always think too, like their mitochondria must have been like through the roof, and now we're just like in the AC and like we walk to a hot car and we're like, oh my gosh, like get this
yeah.
AC blowing on me. Like we don't really have to I don't know, do long voyages. Like all the things are super simplified now. Even AI, like all the things.
Yeah. And I really think we need, from a health perspective, and this is obviously a cellular perspective, but it's always, we have to have the the lesson. We have to have, I don't want to say you always have to have a breakdown to a breakthrough, but you have to stress test. Like there's a lot of conversations like, oh my gosh, stress is bad, stress is bad. And it's like it can be if you don't learn how to, it's our perception of it, right? And so I really feel like from a health perspective, you have to lower the stress to get relief, and then you have to reintroduce it to stress test so that you can see what's your next capacity, what's your next expansion. And without that, there is no growth. I mean, we know that, and pressure creates the diamond. And when we take, that's kind of what I mean is like we have to, on a cellular level, like how are we eliminating what needs to be eliminated so we can add space, add things back in, and then stress test how much more we can add in.
Yeah, like that new baseline. It's like once you overcome, the one thing or you like, yeah, that stress is created. And then that it's like, okay, I overcame this stress or I overcame that challenge. It's not so hard anymore. You realize, okay, it actually is easy. It gets to be easy. The perception, the encoding, the imprintation, right? Like it's all something that is either normalized or has been brought to like a higher baseline, right?
Yeah, and then there's the mineral component, which is really, really important. That I think this is a conversation that needs to happen more and more. Like the minerals and the ratios in your body actually showcase your capacity and your voltage to do everything.
Mm.
Like that's the nutrition that supports your adrenals, which is going to help you manage and stress,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean stress in all forms, but like manage your cortisol. It's going to help show if how your thyroid is functioning, which is how your hormones are functioning, how your brain. I mean, it's just something like we think we can just take supplements, but you can't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to target everything because the body has got so much wisdom, and you want to know what you're doing. But like for instance, if you want to expand in any way or work on epigenetics in any way, you have to understand the minerals and their relationship to the electricity and the fascia and the water in your body. Like that's really important, and I think something that gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah, and it's connected to the electromagnetic field too, right? The fascia is like that, like everything that's kind of circulating through, right? Through the electromagnetic field, do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
it's your voltage.
yeah, your voltage. And then, I have an acquaintance, my doula, she actually introduced me to Robert Slovak. So he was actually part of my wellness event that I hosted like 3 weeks after Living Brave, or maybe a month. I don't know. I can't remember. But they have Quinton. It's by Renee Quinton. Quinton, I think it's French. And I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's the saltwater ampules. And I think it has the entire elemental table in it. And so it's like my love language. Anyone who walks through my door leaves with a box of it, because if I love you, I'm like, you have to take these every day. And so they're so powerful. I even gave some to Ben, my producer. He's like, my stomach's been bothering me. I'm like, take this.
Yes.
And I just, people think that I have like a partnership with that company because I'm like every ranting and raving. I'm like, this is, and my, one of my friends was like, this is how you have to sell your courses. Like, the way you're selling the salt water. I'm like, yeah, duh. But that mineral water is incredible. And I have to take it every day. Like I feel the difference. It's like night and day, whether I have it or not. I travel with it. I mean, it's so powerful.
Yeah, I love it. I definitely use that every day personally. And then for my clients as well, it's an absolute must because it helps to charge, make sure that, your frequency.
Hmm.
But it's like it's C plasma. So just like, and it's I think, and I may be off, but I think the last time I did a training on it, I think it was something like there's maybe only six minerals that are different than our blood
Yeah,
on the
it's almost identical to
yeah,
our blood plasma. Yeah, they were
yeah,
using it for blood transfusions, I think in World War II.
yeah,
Yeah, which is like insane.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so I adore. That's like the king of supplements. But then also, I guess what we were talking about, the stress and the all the things, it's like when we're supplementing, wouldn't you say that it's like we want our body to actually like create these parts, like everything we're supplementing, like it's our body can actually like make these on its own, and that's the end goal, is to like have our body create these within ourselves, right? And so supplementing, would you say should be like more short term, long term? Like what are your thoughts on supplementing? Because essentially, don't we want our body to like create these things on its own?
Yes, I have a lot of thoughts on this. um, well, from a health relief, as a practitioner,
Hmm.
when somebody's going through a lot of things like that are serious, I always believe in testing and then looking at targeted, specific relief or boosted supplementation
Mm.
to help the body until it can do it on its own. And I think like that's really important. But like just for somebody, like somebody will come to me and be like, oh, you're a nutritionist, like, what should I supplement with? And I'm like, it would be irresponsible of me to tell you that without like getting to know you and looking at you from a whole perspective.
Hmm.
And that's really important. Like I don't and a lot of times also where you get your supplements is extremely important. The quality matters.
Hmm.
And I think that for a lot of people that are in our day and age right now, we're on so many medications. And but I will tell you, if your gut is not in integrity, if you have leaky gut, most of what you're taking in a pill form isn't working
Mm. Hmm.
because your gut is leaky.
Yeah.
So, like the integrity of your gut, plus the quality and the deliverability of the supplement matters. But yes, I think it should always be very specific, targeted, and short term, depending on the phases of where your body is at. Like treating everything as a tool.
Hmm.
Um, and my other biggest thing is like when you take something, it's the energetics behind the why you're taking it that matters even more than what you're taking.
Mm. What do you have any thoughts on borax, or do you use any borax? I've been like down this borax rabbit hole lately, so I figured I'd ask you.
Um, yes, but I guess tell me more about your rabbit hole.
Oh,
Like,
it's
what are
been
you?
a rabbit hole actually, for it's like a hidden secret. I like love that. Like really as far out there as we can go. I'm like, let's go. I want to know all about it. And then these like super I don't even think unhinged is the word, but these on my algorithm, it'll like people will start popping up and they're like borax people, I don't know. But I'm kind of like micro dosing borax, and I tested myself. It said yes. I got a positive for it. So I was like, okay. And I'm just kind of really doing like, I don't know, maybe, so I put like an eighth of a, or no, I put 1 teaspoon in a liter, and then I do like a tiny bit in my water every day or my coffee. And just to kind of like see how I feel. And I'm just always like trying to, I don't know, feel a little more optimized, I love coffee too. So if I can like lower my doses of coffee, like I notice that, like I'm like, okay, I'm not craving that third cup of coffee at like 3 p.m. and I can keep my eyes open. So stuff like that. And then I think it's good for parasites, right? I think it's like really good for parasites. I don't know. I also like chlorine dioxide. I don't know if you've used any of that, CDS. But yeah, I go way far out there. People are like, you're drinking chlorine and borax. Okay, cool. So,
Yeah, I would say I would honestly, I would say I would want to see your minerals. Like I would want to see a full mineral panel to before answering that. But I also think that it's if you're crashing at 3 o'clock, then we would want to look at the minerals that are supporting your adrenals specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would probably start there first, but
yeah, and I haven't done much blood work, so I should definitely do some more. I don't know. I'm like very
and
like,
it's a hair test.
oh, it's a hair test. Ooh.
Yeah, and it's great. It's a hair test, and I think that I have found that it's much more, there's a lot more information because it gives you a window of 3 months of
Mm.
how because it looks at what's excreting in your hair that should not necessarily be excreting at certain levels. So, like for instance, calcium, if a lot of calcium is coming out in your hair,
Mm-hmm.
it's not being directed where it needs to go. It shouldn't be coming out in your hair. And that tells us a lot because every mineral also has an emotional or an energetic pattern associated with it, which makes complete sense because that's how it runs through our body. And so calcium is very connected to like your emotions of holding on and flow. So for instance, when somebody has high calcium coming out in their hair, we call that, as a practitioner, we call that a calcium shell. Like it's calcifying,
Mm.
it's
Like
whole,
hardening the
like,
outer.
yeah, it's like protecting you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's calcium. So what are you trying to emotionally, what are you protecting yourself from? But there's all kinds of other things because when calcium's high, it takes magnesium, and we all know how important magnesium is for everything. So there's so many different things, but I like seeing it. I mean, I can look at blood work, but I don't, that's just a snapshot in time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like where from your hair, you can actually see a 3 month window of how your body is actually showing up.
Ooh, can I ship you my hair?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. We might
Yeah.
have to do that. Yeah, I can maybe I'll ship you my kids' hair too. We can do everybody. Yeah, I do supplement some calcium though. But again, I'm like very intuitive. So I'm like, okay, today I feel like this, and I kind of like muscle test, or if my pendulum's there, I'm like, testing and all the things. So, and I'm not very like consistent. I'm always just like, okay, let's call it intuitive, and then I'll like flow, and then try some borax, and hopefully YouTube won't censor me for that. But
Yeah. Can I say something about the intuitive piece?
yeah, please, the intuitive beast.
No, I think it's just important for people to hear
Yeah.
because I know you obviously, especially doing biogeometry, like you know how to connect to your personal wavelength and what's positive, supporting you, depleting you, like all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is this trend that I really like gets me like,
Yeah,
you know?
go full send on us, Jamie. We're laughing and giggling, but like, let's get serious. Like, tell us everything. I want to hear it. Yell at me if you have to. Just
No,
kidding.
it's not about you. I just want people to hear when they
Yeah.
hear this. It's something that really gets me going because there's a lot of trends about like specifically intuitive eating.
Mm-hmm.
And I am also a disordered eating and addiction, practitioner. That's part of the training that I do because that is part of health, right? There's a lot of emotional eating for different reasons. So anyway, one of the things that's out there that you see a lot of people talk about is like intuitive eating. And I don't want to say that that's not good. I think that's how we are supposed to be designed to connect to food in that way. However, if you are having, again, like gut fatigue, gut issues, irregular bowel movements, like hormone issues, like any of those things, if they are not completely in alignment, intuitive eating is not going to work because your signals are off.
Mm.
And so this is something I see all the time. People are like, I'm not going to do a food test. That's baloney, but I'm going to like lean into what my body is telling me to eat. And it drives me insane because it's like, if your gut's not working, your gut signals and your intuition aren't working.
Mm. Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And so that also leads me to another question because I was having another conversation and I was like, oh, like, I said something about the heart, and I was like, like having that open heart and like letting your heart kind of lead the way. And they were like, well, no, the heart can also be incorrect too. So would you say that stands for the heart space also? Because I'm curious about that now. Like, would you say that the heart kind of, let's see if I can get a clear question here. Okay. Would the heart have a like mishap in what it wants? Like, could the brain and the gut, like, have a misconception around like what the heart wants. I don't know if that makes sense, but like,
Yeah.
like could that happen with the heart too?
Yeah. I think yes. I think that I mean that's kind of my whole work, what I call quantum realignment is like and the alignment centers versus the nervous system or alignment system versus the nervous system because I think each of our energy centers that has a wisdom that directs the way that our body reacts, responds, shows up in our perception,
Mm-hmm.
each of those can get energetically, physically out of alignment. And so it's really takes the work. Like you can't just, in my personal opinion, from what I have seen, you can't just assume that every single one of your centers is in alignment and coherent at all times. This is part of our mission and lesson here on earth, I think, is to how do we alchemize and become in alignment. And so, and I also think for different people, what I've noticed by being in their field, by being in their energy, by being in their physical, awareness,
Mm-hmm.
is that a lot of people have different centers that are more powerful for them, like that work for them more. And that I think if you believe in human design, I think that's connected there too. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
for me, my throat and my solar plexus are my most active sensory, intuitive centers. My heart is third.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen that for other, like, I feel like I'm more, when my throat and my solar plexus are in coherence, that would be what I would think most people would consider having their heart in coherence. So I think it's different. And then that's the work of how do we bring them all online to use them to our advantage, all as a coherent signal from all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gut and the brain. I mean, these are just, to me, those are physical responses to the energetic projections.
Yeah, it gets so trippy. And I always am like, I have like a dualistic way of thinking, which I try to like be completely non-dualistic, but it's so hard because I'm constantly like seeing things in these like almost two extremes. And then like we're bringing that back into the harmonized like center. And so, yeah, there's just so many interesting ways of like, how do we get all the centers to be coherent, to function and be optimal? And then also knowing like that our bodies have this infinite intelligence, but also like knowing that we're open and being guided to certain things that can really help and optimize us. Like even just, seeing Shoshana and jumping into this space and then like being led to you and being led to every interaction afterwards and completely expanding beyond my logic, because sometimes our mind can't really comprehend or even logically come up with the things that we think that we desire. That I say like that, God placed these desires in our hearts, which I really believe that the things that we desire are truly meant to be ours. And like, but I also believe there's so much more that logically we can't even begin to comprehend. And so I think that's where the energy work is so beautiful, because I think it does this at like a energetic level. Wouldn't you say so? Like what do you think you're like co-working with, like in this co-creation of the energetic harmonization and the optimization and the calibration? Like what do you think is at play there?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I just want to, in my mind, when you say heart too, I think there is a crossover of, like, I think we have like a spiritual heart, like an essence
Mm-hmm.
of us that moves beyond, like it has incorporates our, because I also do quantum physics, and so I feel like it incorporates all of the potentials.
Like the wholeness.
Yeah, and so it's like I think that, whether you believe in whatever we want to call it, because
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody calls like what they connect with, something different, but God, source, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
universe or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that energy of whatever that co-creator is in our, what I would consider our flame of our heart or our spiritual heart. And then that's what actually communicates back and forth with the cellular receptors. And so when we, in the 3D, we can shift everything,
Like
by,
that voltage, the light, the spark, right?
yeah. But the essence of like what we're creating with, I think is encoded in our DNA energetically and physically. And so it's up to us to act, to do the work, to connect with it and activate it. And that's where the intelligence like just comes through without having to necessarily be logical, it's just, it's there. So I personally, when I hear the word God, I think of it personally, like, cause I work in source. So I feel like it's source, it's like, that's how I feel. So I feel like it's always in the collective consciousness because we are all, our consciousness is the plasma in the air and it's connected. Everything is connected. So we're constantly tapping into that. And when we are tapping into our spiritual heart or the flame of our heart, and we're activating all of our energy centers and our physical body all in alignment, I think that's when magic and miracles and prayers or whatever
Mm-hmm.
happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I love it. It's like that's basically like I think of just, the cell, the light spark in that cell, like once that life force enters the cell, like no one can really explain it. We can call it like all these different words, but there's like this mysterion around it that I like to call it. And it's just like that illogical thing that like the scientists, like everyone, we can't really figure out like how that happens, why it happens. And there's so many different theories. But also, yeah, it's like this coming together or this like universal feeling. So I feel like love, right? Or that like dualistic, like neutral space of just like being and like radiance or whatever we want to call it, of like that essence that we are. That love, I think, because in like the spiritual world, right, everyone's like, well, nothing's good or nothing's bad. It's all perfect. And so I just feel like for me, that kind of means like the quality of love, I would say. Would you agree with that? I know I might be losing you here. I'm just like kind of.
Yeah. No, I agree. And again, I agree, but I also think that love is, in my mind, I think what I've seen and researched is that actually authenticity is the highest frequency.
Mm,
But love is a part of authenticity because it's, if you can truly be in your essence and your uniqueness, that we're here to be a reflection of source or of God or of the universe, right? Like
mm,
that's why I love disco ball. It's like we are all just different reflections of the whole, or
mm-hmm,
parts of the whole and whole, so it's like when you can be authentic in your reflection of it and from a place of self-love, self-worth, self-trust, self-compassion, self-acceptance,
mm-hmm.
then that is a much deeper vibration of what I would consider love, is authenticity. Like you're actually showing up, doing what you're here to do, or reflecting what you're here to reflect and experience.
Mm. Yeah, that's super powerful. And like, so the authenticity, so for me, like because I think of love and I'm like going through this debate too of like, okay, is love this like universal feeling that's like immediately recognized?
No.
No, you would say no.
Oh, absolutely no. Yeah, and I think that there's been some research to show that. Like, I can't remember the exact study, but I saw where, like, because a lot of people, their relationship to the word love is not as strong as like their relationship to the word, like, let's say truth or again, authenticity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's something we've all felt that, but we've not all felt what our perception of what love would be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's where the words like trip me up because I'm like, okay, well, what is the quality we're working with here? And then are we even labeling it the correct word? And because I think the language has gotten to this point where there's so many different definitions and then there's so many different qualities. And then I don't know, I get so tripped up with language in itself because I think oftentimes the words can have this quality and then like what is the actual feeling. So I guess it's more of like shape and this recognizable like feeling that we're working with, right? Like what yeah, the words, all of words, sometimes I like don't even want to speak because I think like words can take away that mysterion. Too, it's like, what is the energy? What is the quality? Like, what does it feel like? Does it resonate? Does it not? And so I don't know if this is like just like a lot of duality in this topic in itself, but yeah, I just feel like words can take away that mysterion and take away that like infinite levels of all the things.
I love this conversation, but I think it's more the perception of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was saying it to me, it's not just the heart, it's like which energy center and what they represent in frequency and wavelength and resonance. I mean, I can say the words that I connect them to, but like that for each person, the coherence that's going to shift the chemistry and the consciousness and the collective to me is in different energy centers. So it might not be love, or because I usually actually, this is so funny. I usually actually, when I reference the heart, I talk about desire and joy more than love, because I think, like I said, I've had a lot of clients who just don't understand that sensation, or the perception of it is skewed, or there's other things attached to it. So I talk about, okay, like the joy and the desire, and then in the I can just take you through them because I think that's what I like to see people connect to, that I think makes the biggest difference. But the crown, I connect to their clarity and their channel connected to whatever they believe, source, God, universe. And then the third eye, their intuition, their timing, like that's where we hold our pineal gland and our connection to actually so like rhythm and timing and intuition and knowing, and all of our senses, which we work with biogeometry, like it's the seat of the senses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the throat, like where we speak our truth, or it doesn't have to be speak, it's how we express our truth,
Mm-hmm.
our authenticity. And then the solar plexus, we did the heart. The solar plexus is like our purpose, our potential, and our power. It's like a portal of how we're actually utilizing that. And then the sacral, our receiving and our creation, and the root is trust. So those are the words that I have found when I tap in and work with people. Like when we can align each one of those energies to your unique gifts and essence, chemistry shifts, the reality bends, like, because that's us being a unique reflection of ourselves.
Mm. So good. So just listening to you here. And I heard like when you say joy, like I actually can feel it like expand my heart too. Like it's something that like the most, when I want to open my heart, the thoughts and the memories that I go to are the most joyous. That creates that like openness. So that was super powerful listening too. So thank you. And there's also the topic of like manifestation, right? Like Abraham Hicks is kind of like the way you feel is what you get. And so I guess, but we were also saying how stress can be like this beneficial thing, and like the mitochondria, like oftentimes, these things that boost the mitochondria probably aren't like the most comfortable things, right? So again, the words here. I hope everyone's following with this is the way I conversate, and how my brain works. So, what would you say there? Like, how can we use the most optimization, like things to boost our mitochondria, even if it feels a little uncomfortable? I mean, I stand on copper nails for like the sadhu boards, and like I think it helps my fascia, and like even massaging the fascia sometimes doesn't feel so good, So how does that play into manifestation and into like bringing that centering space? If that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things we can do for the mitochondria, but I like to talk about this from an energetic standpoint of the why behind the why that you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The intention. So especially if you're connecting it to like manifestation, it's like the intention behind the stretch or behind the discomfort for the growth. So I think that matters actually more than the thing that you're doing, because there's a million things you can do. I mean, our mitochondria, well, the biggest thing, no matter what, you need B12.
Mm-hmm.
You need B12 because that's the energy of it, the powerhouse of it. But beyond that, it's the center, it's harmonizing the center of the cell and then the communication around the cell that's going to fuel the mitochondria. So, from that other standpoint, it's like, what are you nourishing it with and why? And like, I also like to look at it from a space connection of there's only so much space in the cell, just like in everything in our body.
Hmm.
And so, what's taking up space, and what are you choosing to eliminate, and what are you choosing to put in is the nourishment. That's actually the energy and the longevity
Mm.
of the mitochondria from a holistic perspective.
Hmm. Hmm. So good. Yeah, so I feel like we covered so much. We went from from words to feelings to the chakras to the energy centers to mitochondria and the cells, and I've been talking with my hands all day long. I guess that's how how I think. And so, yeah, I guess what do you want to leave everyone with? And I just can't stress this enough. Like people, everyone, energy workers, like huge speakers, business people, conferences, like stage talk, motivational speakers, like everybody can utilize this because, again, oftentimes our gut is actually signaling things that we think we desire or think that we're in alignment with, think that our intuition is like so in tune. And then oftentimes like that quality might not be centered. And we could really use someone like Jamie, who has this beautiful, beautiful experience and wisdom and all her expertise in this realm to bring everything into harmony while expanding you for your greatest and highest good beyond all your logical senses. And so I really think that so many people, oftentimes maybe they don't even know what it is that they need or this even means. And so I think our conversation today hopefully brought some more clarity to people who are a little curious or a little, you know, curious, wondering what like this could be like for them, or just curious to see like what else is out there for them in so many different ways. And so Jamie just covers all the bases, like cellular to physical to emotional, spiritual, like all the things. And yeah, so if you're interested in working with Jamie, where can we find you, Jamie?
Thank you. So I'm the Gut Goddess on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and then my website's actually the Quantum Seer. So I'm both. I claim both. I'm all the things.
All the things. Yeah.
So yeah, but I love Instagram. That's where I am the most active and I love connecting. And so that would be where you can find me. And then you can check me out on the Quantum Seer if you want to see. I have disco tune-in sessions, which are really fun, and disco data sessions where I can like look at your labs. I can order you labs, but if you have labs and you want an energetic, mental, physical, quantum lens, somebody to see all of you and give you more of an epigenetic protocol, that's one thing I love to do. And then the regular tune-in sessions are me just going into finding you in source and loop to leap, quantum arc, like whatever we need to do. So it's
Yay.
fun.
And we'll link everything below for everyone to have easy access to. It'll all be in the description below. And so, yeah, I guess we can leave everyone with I don't know, Jamie, what do you want to leave everyone with? Do you want to lead like not a prayer, but maybe like an activation or anything that you want to leave them with before we go?
Yeah, I think from this conversation, like the alignment of like tapping into your own empowerment and like knowing that you have a cellular wisdom that's for you, that's been encoded and for you, and your lineage is serving you. And so, like, tapping into that as this beautiful, like, why behind the why, that I'm here from a place of self love, self worth, self trust, in all the ways.
Oh, that was so good. Thank you so much for connecting us to this space and just sharing your energy with me in this moment, and for all everyone listening. It was so powerful, Jamie. And again, I'm just so, so honored to have you on the Manifestation Queen podcast. And yeah, I would love to have you back. And I just can't wait to continue to watch you and work with you. And I want to ship my hair as fast as possible to get it through the testing and get your hands on it. And yeah, I just adore you and honor you and love everything that you're doing. So thank you for all of it.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love it. I feel like we could talk forever and ever and ever. So thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. And until next time, everyone and my beautiful co-creators, we will see you next week. And thank you for tuning in. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.